Thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime. This is the review of books, the overview for books read during, I believe it is, week 16. We start off with a book called San Francisco, Baby, illustrated by Ward Jenkins. This book has no apparent author, and it seems to be a book put together by the San Francisco Bureau of Tourism. It's entertainment for children as they make a visit, as San Francisco might be a destination, because the book actually highlights different places to go, different places to see. So it also serves as a record, in addition to entertainment, a book to solidify memories of experiences a child might recall from sightseeing during their travels to San Francisco. Cute illustrations, and it's a pretty short, simple book that depicts some of the things you might see and places you might go if you visit San Francisco. San Francisco, Baby, illustrated by Ward Jenkins. The next book on the list is Mama Miti. Mama Miti is a strong Kenyan female figure who lifted up Kenyan women and people of Kenya by sharing her knowledge of the properties of trees, by sharing seeds and saplings of trees in order to uplift struggling Kenyans and people of East Africa. This is by Donna Napoli, and it's illustrated by Kadir Nelson. By encouraging people to plant a tree, she shared various ways to help individuals and families survive and thrive during difficult times. And additionally, it sort of highlights the sharing of a living legacy of trees and how it helped to create a green belt in East Africa. Wangari was the first African woman to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. And these illustrations are very bright. Kadir Nelson is a Caldecott Award-winning illustrator. So Wangari Maathai, the strong Kenyan female figure, is well known in Kenya, East Africa. She's known in Africa, and she has made an impact on the world for her sort of activism to help keep the planet green. This is a good book. It has a good, it has great references in the back. This character, Mama Miti, she would be a good person. She's a role model. She would be a good person to focus on for a book report for a school-aged child. Mama Miti. Just looking here. Wangari Maathai. Wangari Muta Maathai. Yes. Strong female Kenyan figure. The next book on the list for the week is, let's see if I can get that, the reflection. Dave the Potter, Artist, Poet, Slave, by Laban, Carrick Hill, illustrated by Bryan Collier. This is a story of a potter who lived about 200 years ago. He was a slave, and he possessed skills associated with pottery, such as the skill of running a spinning wheel, turning pots, throwing pots. He was also skilled at creating glazes to protect the ceramics. And he was known for making very large pots, at times 20 to 30 gallons. These pots were meant for storing food and grains. He became well known, and he's a person of significance and an important American artist because it's a skill. The skill that he had as a potter was not often held or learned by slaves. He did sign his pots on a few different occasions, and he composed prose, which he inscribed onto the pots. So literacy was illegal for slaves, and slaves caught reading or writing were often severely punished, and likewise there were laws at the time that forbade the education of slaves. So his work stands out for that reason, because he did sign his pots. This is actually a picture of some actual pots that have survived over time. And here in the book there are some highlights of different works of prose he inscribed upon the pots. There is quite a bit of information in the back of the book, including a nice bibliography and some websites as well. So again, this is another figure and book that might be helpful to a child that is working on a book report or a research project. The pottery is well known because it has survived over time. Again, also because it was created by this man who also was literate and inscribed his pots with prose. There are dates often on the pots as well. The next book is called Our Skin. This book is by Madison, Jessica Ralli, and Isabel Roxas. Our Skin, a first conversation about race. This is a book meant to introduce children to the topic of different skin colors and how everybody has their own skin color. It varies person to person, including within our families. And this book is meant to start a conversation for your youngest children and sort of open the topic of conversation. It's a interesting little book. Our Skin, a first conversation about race by Madison, Jessica Ralli, and Isabel Roxas. If you would like to have some assistance in talking to your children about skin colors and race, this book might be for you. The next book is Peanut Butter and Jellyfish by Jarrett J. Krosoczka. We have peanut butter and jellyfish, a seahorse, and a jellyfish who enjoy exploring the ocean together. Very bright illustrations. These are great. They travel along and have adventures, but every day they have to pass Krabby here, and Krabby is not the friendliest character. They sort of brush it off, and they do expect to run into him whenever they are in the area. One day when they're in the area, they don't find him because he's been caught up in a lobster trap, and they have to figure out whether or not they want to help Krabby. And of course they decide to assist him because it's the right thing to do. And then they continue on their ocean adventures, but Krabby changes his perspective on how he treats others, and they sort of all become friends in the end. Happy ending. It's a cute book. Jarrett J. Krosoczka, Peanut Butter and Jellyfish. The next book on the list is an older book. This one is called What Was That? By Gada Bradley Matthews, with pictures by Normand Chartier. 3 little bears. This book is about things that go bump in the night, and these 3 brother bears sort of, the youngest one hears a bump in the night and he becomes scared, runs off to his brother's room, and the older brother tells a story that describes what made the bump in the night. and then they hear another one, and they both get scared, and they run off to the older brother's room, and so on until they end up in mom and dad's room. It's a really creative book, however, how these characters explain off the sounds that they're hearing, and it's supportive. But you know, when children are small, when you transition them to their own room, into their own bed, they often get scared of different noises that they hear, and this book has a nice way of explaining those noises. So for example, this is a spider that was tapping out his toothbrush after brushing his teeth, and the bears heard the tap, tap, tap. It's a cute book. What Was That? By Gada Bradley Matthews, with pictures by Norman Chartier. And the last book for the week was Percy Gets Upset by Stuart J. Murphy. This is a story about a little giraffe. You might be familiar with Percy and his family. These are his friends, his community. There's Percy. So there are several Percy books featuring this character. In this book, the focus is on the behavior of children when they are frustrated and how they can settle down, how to get your children to calm down when they are upset. Percy wakes up happy the very next day. Not upset anymore, and he wants to have fun. It's a cute storybook, and then in the back here, the author has included a description of how we feel when we're upset and things we can do to stop being upset. And then there are a few different interactive questions here. It's a good book. Yep. What do you do when you're upset? How to manage your emotions. This book focuses on how to manage your emotions. This is Percy Gets Upset by Stuart J. Murphy. And then going back, we had What Was That? By Gada Bradley Matthews, with pictures by Norman Chartier. And this is a focus on the bumps in the night and how we can get the little ones to settle down after they hear what seem to be strange noises. Peanut Butter and Jellyfish by Jarrett J. Krosoczka, a book about friendship and kind of putting differences in the past and being helpful to others because it's the right thing to do. Our Skin, a first conversation about race by Megan Madison, Jessica Ralli, and Isabel Roxas. We have Dave the Potter by Laban Carrick Hill, illustrated by Bryan Collier. It's a great book about Dave, an historical figure, and his work. And then we had Mama Miti by Donna Napoli, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. Story of an African woman who really helped her community and country thrive. And San Francisco Baby, illustrated by Ward Jenkins, a little picture book about things to see and things to do in San Francisco. So these are the books for week 16. I hope you enjoyed them. Thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime. I do appreciate your viewership. See you next week.